Hello everyone, good morning. Am I audible?
Yeah,
Okay, thank you, Anu. So let me check. I have started the recording. Okay. So if I till last lecture we have covered this topic. So we have already did this topic, that how to create an one-dimensional array in Java. So it looked something like this, right? So this is your one-dimensional array and these are the indexes. So which we have already discussed. Okay. So today what we will discuss? We will discuss. So if I show you how the two-dimensional array will look like. So suppose this is your array. Okay, so let me again open. Suppose this is your array. So inside, in case of two-dimensional array, you will have one more array inside this array, right? So it suppose this is one array here. Okay, so here this is how your array will look like. So here also it will have some index value. So suppose this is 0 and this is 1, and here again this is one array inside of this array. 0 and 1 it will start, and 0 and 1 it will start. So we also call two-dimensional array as array of array, right? So this is, many people say like this as well, arrays of array. So this is also one of the name people say two-dimensional array, because it contain one more array inside itself, right? So this is one more array inside this big array, right? So this is, we also call two-dimensional array as arrays of array. Okay, so this is the actual way how it will represent, how it is represented inside the memory. So I will also show you in the Eclipse IDE as well in a short time. So let us see one more way. So if you want to represent this same array, so I can also say, so this is the general way, right? So we can also represent it like this, row major implementation. So how you can represent it? Suppose if I represent it, zero 1 0 1. So if I just give some name here, suppose 20 is the number, 30, 40, 50, right? Some random number are present here. So how here it is, if you want to get this value, 20 is the value, right, at 0 index. So first of all you have to start from the outer one. So this is 0 index, and this is also 0 index. So to access this 20, you will say 0 0, right? So 20, so 0 0, 20 value will be present. And likewise, if you want to get this 30 value, so 0 1, right? So you have to give this outer index and then inner index 1. So how, like this 30 will be present here, and again if you, if I talk about this number, then 1 0, so 40 will be at 1 and 0, right? So 40 will be here, and likewise 50. So what are these? If I tell you, so this is our first row, this is our second row, right? So let me write it first row. So actually this is, I am making one row major, sorry, row column, it is not row major, row column. I am representing this same array in the form of rows and column. So this is nothing but your column 1, and this is nothing but your column 2, right? So if you want to access any value present inside this array, right? So this is also a two-dimensional array, you can see, right? So just the representation is different. So if I want to get this 20 value, how I can get 0 0? So I want to give this index number 0 0, because at 0 0 20 is present. If I want to get 30 value, so I will say 0 1, right? So this is nothing but my index. So 0 1 is the index, right? Likewise, if I want to get this 40 value, so I will say 1 1 and 0 column. So 1 and 0, first row 0 column, right? And likewise, if I want to get this 50 value, I will say 1 1, right? So this is how you can get any value based on the index. Suppose my array name is, suppose my array name is data, right? Suppose my array name is this one. So how to get, if I want to get the value, I will simply say int value equals to data. So because this is my array name, so I will add data. So here in one dimensional array we had one bracket, but here as it is a two dimensional array, we will have two brackets like this, right? And here what I have to write, suppose I want to get this 30 value, so what I will write, 0 and 1, right? Because it is present here, so 0 1. So you have to write 0, it is for row, and 1 is for column, right? It is for row and it is for column. When you will write like this, so it will go to this 0 1, it will go here and give you this 30 value, and that 30 value will going to be present inside this. So this is how you can access. So this point is clear to everyone?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay. So let us first see this program and how to make it. So let me write here only. If you want to make two-dimensional,
हेलो
hello,
सर, दिस इज अश्विनी।
yeah,
सर, इसमें जो आपने सिंगल कॉलम यूज किया, सिंगल रो वाला, तो उसमें वो रिप्रेजेंट कैसे करेगा? 0 0 एंड 0 1 ओनली ना?
किधर?
जो ऊपर वाला जो है आपने एग्जांपल दिया है ना, जिसमें
हाँ,
दो एक ही रो है उसमें,
हाँ. So
वहाँ पे
here
कैसे वो
actually,
रिप्रेजेंट? हाँ,
here if you want to get this value, suppose I want to get this value. So actually this is
20।
one representation, right? In the form of rows and
हाँ
column. So here you can
हाँ।
consider this as first row, this as first row,
हम्म
and this as second row.
हम्म।
So I'm just
सेकेंड रो, ओके।
right. You can do like this. So likewise, if you have one more here, just assume, right? So actually inside the memory it will be represented like this. Suppose if you have one more, so you can treat this as first row, second, and then third, right?
थर्ड,
So
ओके।
here you will make one more block like this if you have, right? So anyways, so it is clear to you?
यस।
Okay. So let us see how to create two-dimensional array. So if I talk about the syntax of one-dimensional array, so it looked like this. Int, you can say one-dimensional is my array name, right? So you used to write like this, right? So if you want to make two-dimensional array, how you can say? right? So this remains the same. If I want to make integer, or let me go with the string. If I want to make one string two-dimensional array, so this time I will say double brackets because it is a two-dimensional array. And suppose this is my array name equals to new string. Suppose I will say, so what are the total number of rows? One, two, right? So you can consider this as a row because we implemented it like this. So suppose this is first and second. So I will say two, two rows, and how many columns we have? We have total of, you can see, first column and second column, right? So you can treat this as a column as well. So first column, right, and then second column, right? So you can do like this. So once you will declare it like this, one memory area will be created like this, right? So right, so you can see, so we have total of two rows and two column, right? So because we have two values, so this is the reason. Suppose if you have one more block here, so at that time what you will say, instead of two you will say three, right? So it will start from 0 1 2 and then 0 1 2 and outer will be 0 1. So it is clear to everyone.
Yes.
Okay, so let us do some practical part.
Sumit, I have one question related to the one-dimensional array.
Yeah,
So last class we have discussed about the last program, right? Do you remember that for and for each? In that we have mentioned like temp equal to array of I, and array of I equal to array of end, and array of end equal to start.
yeah, okay, so you, I was clearing one doubt right at the end.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Last one. That actually I have practiced that, but the end of the when we debugging, right? That last name and I mean last number and front number is reversing. But when you run the for loop, right, that value is not printing accordingly. What we discussed.
so when I was running for loop, what you mean to say?
So when you're running the for loop, that time we didn't run the for loop. Just we debugged and we came to know from the debug menu itself that numbers are changing. But when I run the for loop, I mean end of the program, I printed the system.out.println. By that time, it's not printing accordingly. That
So
was
after
reversing
the
the.
class we will see this, right? Whatever the doubt you have, because otherwise, right, because we have to cover this 2D array. After the class we will see, right? So just
Sure,
remind me after the class, then we will
sure,
see, right?
sure. No
Okay,
problem.
so okay, so let me create one 2D array. So again you have to see string. Suppose I want to create a string array, new string. So this time suppose again, if I want to define some values here, right? So earlier, suppose earlier I want, if I have to store student name, then I will write student name here, right? If I want to store the roll number, then I will write here in case of one dimensional array. But here you can store, as it is a two dimensional array, you can store the value of sorry, the name of the person as well, the name of the person as well, and the person's age as well, right? So you can say suppose 21, right? So any, and likewise suppose there is one more Pankaj, sorry, one more person which is Pankaj, and his age is as well 22, right? So okay, so as it is a two-dimensional array, right? So you have to also put one more braces here, one more brace here, right? So when we will declare like this, so suppose assume that this is first row, this is first row, and this is second row. So if I show you again how it will look, or let me show in Eclipse only, right? So after that, let me put, so let me write the array name as well. So I will say data. So error gone. So put semicolon at the end. Okay, so why it is throwing the error? Because I am saying that my array is of type string, so it will not be able to hold integer value, right? So also you have to enclose them in double quotes, so it will be treated as string. So save it. So let us see how it will look inside our memory area. So we so as if I show you that how it will look here, right? So this is your array. Suppose this is your first row, 0 at 0 index, and inside that you have two data, right? So at 0 index Sumit will be present, at 1 index 21 will be present, which I have defined the age, right? And suppose this is your second row, right? So you can treat this as a row and column. So inside that second row, which is nothing but 1 index, you have again two more data, right? So it is a nothing but an array, right? So 0 and 1, it is nothing but an array, right? So you can see if I copy this, how it will look. So suppose I am representing the same thing actually. So here Sumit will be present, and after that we have the age 21, right? And again Pankaj, and after that his age, right? So 0 1, 0 1, and 0 and 1, right? So you can see that inside Eclipse as well. So if I say where this 21 is present, 0 outer index is 0, inner index is 1, so 0 and 1. So here as well, if I expand this, so where that Pankaj is present, you can see 1 0, right? 1 0 at 1 and 0 Pankaj is present. You can see here as well 1 and 0 Pankaj is present, and at 1 1 age of Pankaj is present. So at 1 1, so this is 1, this is 1, and inside that there is one more value which is nothing but 22. So this memory representation is clear to everyone?
Yes, clear, Mark.
Okay, thank you. So let us see how we can print this two-dimensional array, right? So if you remember, when we were talking about one-dimensional array, right, we used one for loop for one-dimensional array. But here we will use two for loop for two-dimensional array, right? As it is a two-dimensional, then we will use two loop. So if I make one for loop first, so let us make one for loop. So you can give any name. Let me give I. So it will again start from 0 because the array index start from 0, right? Whether it is a one-dimensional or multi-dimensional. So here till at what point I have to go. So let me see. If I say 2, then as of now I am writing 2. Then after that I will show you some more way of writing this. So as of now we will go with 2. So why we are going with 2? So that if I show you why I'm writing 2 here, because you have two rows, right? First and second, so you have to go till one index, right? So this is the reason. When I will become 2, this condition will become false, so it will run only for 2 times, right? So this is our outer for loop, and inside that we will have one more for loop. So nested for loop we have already done, so right, so here I will use that nested for loop. So 0 again it will start in j less than 2, and I will increment the j. So again this for loop will run for this value. If I show you, right, so outer for loop will run for this outer one, and that when I'm saying j for loop, so J for loop will going to run for this block and this block, right? This one. So again, after that, I will say I want to just print the value. So system.out.println. So this is my array name. So this is your array name has to become here. I and then J, right? So this is for row, ROW, and this is for column, right? You can assume this will it will be easy to understand. So if I run this, let us see first whether we are getting our output or not. Then we will see in debug mode. You can see Sumit Sumit's value is printed and the Pankaj age is printed, right? So let us see how it is working. And yeah, let us see. So if I again debug it, again this array is created inside the memory. You can see, right? So at 0 index 2 value, at 1 index 1 2 value, right? So when this loop will run for first time, outer for loop, we will come inside, right? Because 0 is less than 2, condition true. Because 0 is less than 2, so the condition is true. So when we will come inside, again this will run. So a j variable will be created inside the memory and 0 is less than 2, so again condition is true, right? So if I run this, we will come inside. So as you can see on the right hand side, I value is 0, j value is also 0. So I is 0, j is 0. So data of 0 0. So if I talk about this here, what is the data of 0 0, which is nothing but our first value, right? 0 and 0. So it will give me this value. So what is the value written here? You can see 0 0. Sumit is present, so it will just print Sumit, right? So Sumit is printed in the output, you can see. But as we are inside, as we are in this for loop, it will again increment this value. At the end, this will be evaluated last condition. So j value will become 1, and then 1 will again compared with 2. 1 is less than 2, condition is true, so we will come inside. So this time, if you see right hand side, value 5 will remain the same, but j value is incremented by 1. So j value will become 1. So data of 0 1. So what is the data of 0 1? 0 is our outer one. uh, Inside that you have to go till here 0 1. So which is nothing but 22, so it will print 22 in the output. So sorry, 21 in the output, right? So we have 21 here, so it will print 21. So again this statement will be executed, and this time j value will become 2. So when the j value will become 2, this will again be compared with, but this time 2 is not less than 2, condition false. So we will again come to this outer for loop, right? So when first time this condition is checked, we come inside. So after the execution of this whole statement, inner for loop, this statement will be executed. So if you see on the right hand side, I value will should become 1 now, right? When I execute this, I value should become 1, and then this condition is checked, 1 is less than 2. So yes, we will come inside, right? So again this for loop will run for 2 times. So for the first time, j value will again be 0, right? And for the second time, j value will again 1, just like I have shown you earlier. So first of all, it will be 0 and I value will remain the same, right? So I value is 1. So 1, data of 1 0, 1, data of 1 and 0. So what is the data of 1? So this is your second index. So 1 0, it is nothing but the name Pankaj, so it will be printed. Likewise, if I again run this, so this time j value will become 1 due to this statement, last one, and 1 is less than 2, condition true. We will again come inside. So it will say data of 1 1, sorry, data of 1, and this is value is also 1. So if you see on the right hand side, data of 1 1 is nothing but 22. So it will print 22 in the output, and after that condition will fail, and again this time as well, I value will become 2. So 2 is less than 2, condition become false, and we will not going to run this again, right? So we will come out. So this is clear to everyone?
Yes, sir.
Okay. So
Okay,
this
why we are using the two for loops? Yeah, I know there are two-dimensional array and we have two blocks giving different
See,
rules,
if
but
you use
is that
only one, then how you are going to, so if you want to get inside this, right? You have to place 0 0, right, to get this value. So one for loop will
Hmm.
do that work for this, but you will also need one more loop as well, right, to do that. So this is the reason we are writing.
So, but in real time means what type of examples we are getting? So this is fine that now we are printing uh, to that values with some roll number and the name. But in real time, some example where
So
every time
I
we
have
use the
already
two
told you,
for
see, yeah, I will show you. Suppose here only, let me show. Let me again open. So when we have discussed one dimensional array, so suppose this is my 1D array, right? So if I want to store the roll number, right? If I want to store the roll number, how I can say 2, 3, these are suppose your roll number, right? But suppose
yeah.
I also want to store the name. So to store the name, this array will just store the roll number, right? Just roll number. But if I want to store the student name, then I have to create one string, one dimensional array like this, and I will store some names, right? Sumit, like that, Pankaj, and suppose there is one more person, right? So suppose that Sumit's roll number is 2, Pankaj's roll number is 3, just suppose, right? And likewise there are some more persons, right? So if you want to store the data like this, and suppose likewise you have to store the student age, then again you have to create one dimensional array, so you can store the age. So age of suppose 30, right? So this is the Sumit's age, and then this is the Pankaj age, suppose 40. So instead of creating uh, one dimensional arrays like this, we can create two dimensional array. So here, if I show you, if we create array like this, one two dimensional array we will create, right? So inside that, what we can store? We can store, suppose we have three person, Sumit, Pankaj, and Jalaj. So suppose for that, this is the block Sumit. Or let me take only two first. Let me remove this. So if I make, like suppose we have two person this time, suppose this is the first block, right? So this is representing our first person, and this is representing our second first person. So here I do not have to create again and again the one dimensional array. Here I will just place the value for the first person. Suppose this is the name, right? And this middle one is our roll number 101. And here you can just say his age, suppose 30, right? And here for the second person as well, uh, second person name is Pankaj, and his roll number is 102, and the you can say age is 35, right? So here this task is alone done by a two-dimensional array in the real time if we want to. But here if I want to store the data, I want to create the separate array, right? But here you can see how this will look. It has just stored all the numbers like this. So this time you will can visualize this. So again we have two row and three column this time, 0 1 2 0 1 2. So I have to make one more. So 0 1 0 1 2. So Sumit will come here, Sumit, then roll number, and then 30. So Pankaj name will come here, 102 and 30, right? So you can see the difference why we are going for two-dimensional array. If we want to store the multiple data of the same person, then here we have to create separate arrays. But here in case of two-dimensional array, we can do like this. So is it clear to you now?
Yeah,
Yes.
it is clear.
Okay.
Okay, fine. Yeah, I got it. I got that.
Okay, sure. So here, so let me not go with this. Okay, so Sumit, this is printed, right? So let us see one more way, just like we see that in for loop, sorry, in one dimensional array, we also saw one more for each loop, right? So here let us try to print with this as well, right? So I have told you there is one shortcut for each. Okay, so I have not told you actually. So yeah, I think I have discussed. So I have discussed for each loop, right, in that previous class? Yes, I have
Yes,
discussed, I
yes.
remember. So if you want to use for each loop, then just write this keyword and control and space. It will automatically generate one for loop for you, right? So if I, so here, this is your array name. So suppose let me give this as value. But you can see when I'm generating this for each loop, it is giving me array brackets here, right? So let us see if I try to print this, what is the value? So if I run this, you will get some weird result. You can see something like this, right? So you are not getting your actual data, but it is printing this. And why it is printing this? If I show you in debug mode, if I show you,
This is the array of address, right?
yeah, I am coming to this point. So when you will run this for each loop for the first time, see here we came, but here this data is having two blocks, right? So when you will run this for each loop for the first time, it will going to give you this whole block, right? So here when I will run this, you will see in the value there is one whole block, right? So this block it has placed. So but actually I wanted to get this name and get this age, right? So that for each loop again, right, just like we did it two for loops, again we have to use one more for each loop here as well. Then only it will give you our actual value. So if I write one more for each loop inside this, so remove this, it is again generating. So this time I will write value variable here, and then I will say, I can say data, can give any, and then you will print the data. So let me show you how it is working. If you use 2 for each loop, then it will, so actually this is also an array name, so let me say data of student. Okay, so I will print it. So if I run it, let us see what we are getting. So you can see this for loop has printed upper one, right? And this is the data you are getting by for each loop. So let us see how it is working. Again, debug it. Okay, so we came here. So this is your array, right? So it will have all the data. So at 0 index, this is the first data, and you can say first person data, and this is the second person data. So when you will run it for the first time outer for loop, it will give you this block first. So how it will give, you can see. So it has given you first block, right? And this is our first block. And when what I am doing, again I am running that inner for loop. So here you will see this is the same variable, so it will again have the same value, first block. So when you will run this inner for loop for the first time, sorry, for each loop it is, when you will run that inner for each loop, it will first give you this value and this, right? So when you will run it for the first time, Sumit will placed here, right? Because it has two values, Sumit and 21. And when you will run inner for loop, so it will give you Sumit. So Sumit will be placed here, right? So execute this, so Sumit will come here, right? You can see data students equals to Sumit, and it will just print, you can see in the output, right? And when you run this for the second time, right, so value here is for the second time 21, so it will just get this value and place it here. So 21 will come and it will be printed, you can see in the output. So but after that 0 and 1, right? So after these two values there are no more value, so this inner for loop will terminate and we will again reach to this outer for loop. So this is how it is working. So it will terminate and we will reach to outer for loop. So this already has run for the first time, and when it has run for the first time, it has given me this value. But now it is running for the second time, so it will actually give me this block Pankaj 22, and that block is also of type of array, right? So this is the reason we are placing array brackets here, right? So value is Pankaj, 22, right? So again, this will have the same value, Pankaj 22. When I will run this inner for loop again for the first time, it will give me this Pankaj value, and Pankaj will be placed here. So Pankaj will come. So you can see in your output Pankaj has printed, right? And after that, it will give me 22 when I will run inner for loop for the for each loop for the second time. So 22 and it will print. But after that again, no more values are present. Pankaj 22 after that. So it will terminate. And here as well, when it will try to run for the third time, there is no third value, right? Only two values are here, right? Two blocks you can say. Third block is not present, so it will also terminate. And we will just complete our program like this. So this for each loop is clear to everyone.
Yes. Can you show the age also? The same
Sorry.
things. You already given some example with the age also, right? So
Yeah,
can you
here
bring the
only.
age?
Yeah, yeah. So if I suppose this is your, let me say 101. This middle one is your roll number. So you have to write that in the string format only because I have created one string array, right? So you can get this advantage from the string because if you have created integer two-dimensional array, right? So you will be able to store the roll number and age. But again, this Sumit is a type of string variable, so you will not be able to do that with the help of integer. But here you can see we are just able to add every value. So Pankaj roll number is suppose. So 101 is the roll number. Okay. So actually we have to, if we have, again, there are two-person, right? There are two-person. You can see two persons are there. So we do not have to need to change this outer for loop. But here you are just increased one data here. So I will make it 3, right? So if I let us try to print this, whether it is working correctly or not, you can see Sumit, for each loop Sumit, roll number age, right? So likewise Pankaj 102, 102 and 22. Okay, one more. So is it clear to you?
Yes.
So as of now, you are seeing that I'm just writing every time. If I make any change in the data, I need to write this number again. So what we can do, we can use one method. If I say int length array equals to, you can say data dot length. So what this will return you if you write data dot length. Let me write that here only, right? And instead of writing 3 here, I will say length. Okay, let me write here only. If I write I, so what will happen? I will show you in debug mode. I will say integer inner array, and I will just place this variable here. So if I show you, okay, I have to write dot length method as well. But actually this, okay, I have to write like this. Data is my array name dot length, and I will just place this variable here. So why I am doing this, right? Suppose if I increase one more data here, right? So if I write like this, I do not have to take care of whatever the number it will generate. So let me also show you how. So how it will give you. So what is this? It will have two, right? Why it is having two value? Because you have two-person, right? Just assume this two first row and second row. So it has just given you outer for loop, sorry, outer array size. So size is nothing but 2 because we have 2%. So that 2 will come here again. This for loop will run for 2 times, right? So this time I do not need to write this number again, right? Just this method, this will do for me. This line will do for me. And when we will come inside, if I show you, this is our data. When I will expand this, so what is the total data I am having? 3 data, right? So this for loop should run, this inner for loop should run for 3 times. So what I have done, I am saying when you will come to this 0, so when you will come to this 0, if I, yeah, when you will come to this array at 0 index, right? So at 0 this will be present. So I am calculating the size of this with the help of this line. So what is the size? 3. So it will just give me 3 here, right? So you will see when I will execute. So this is the 3, right? So again automatically this will run for 3 times because 3 is present here, right? So you can see 1, 2, 3. After that it will terminated. After that again, what is the length? 2. So it will again run for one more time. Again I am saying when I will reach to index 1. Again I am saying when I will reach to index 1. This is our index 1. So when you will reach, give me the inner array size. So this is again the same, size is 3. So again it will give you 3 value, and that 3 value will come here, right? So likewise you can just print it, right? So after that, so what is the advantage we got? So you can also print with for each loop. It will going to print the same data, right? So Pankaj, age, roll number, and 22. Why I am using this method? Again I am saying why I am using these two methods. Actually it is only one method, because suppose if I increase one more data here, right? Suppose this is Pankaj, sorry, Sumit, roll number, age, and suppose I will write you can say some data here, like you can suppose exam date. Exam date is 21 December, right? Suppose that person has one exam on 21 December. Likewise, that person has one more exam on 25th December, right? So if I even increase the data like this, right, I do not have to change any, I do not need to touch this loop, right? Just run it and it will do it for you, because that will, at the runtime only, it will calculate the length. You can see. So these two data are printed by our, yeah, this one, for loop. This data is printed by for loop, and after that again for each loop has run and it has printed the data. So is it clear to everyone? What is the advantage we can get if we define like this?
Yes,
Yes.
sir.
In
Okay.
generally, time can we use for loop or for each?
Sorry.
Which one is the better? You have given the for each condition also, right? So in our projects related, so which one is better to use?
So in yesterday's session I've explained you that this is a for each loop. If you see, this is more human readable, or you can say friendly. And if I talk about this one, because it has just some value, but here if you see, if suppose a person do not know anything about programming, so this is like more machine friendly, like so 0 1. So if I show you more machine friendly, so this is one thing. And talking about where you have to use which one, see, suppose if you want to, let me take here only, suppose this is your one dimensional array. Suppose some numbers are present here, 10, 20, 30, 40, 50, like this. Suppose if I want to move this number, I want to move this number from here to here, right? What I wanted to do, when I will swap the number, my array will become like this. So 40 will come here, 40, 20, and then 30, and then 10, right? So this is the one thing I wanted to do with my array. So suppose this is the index. So here, if you want to swap the number, here you will use for loop. Why you will use for loop? Because you have to deal with the index, right? So let me show you what I mean to say. First let me write. Okay, so again this is my array. I want to swap this number with this one, right? So 40 will come here, 10 will come here. So again after that, this is the final result. So here, if I want to swap the number, what I can say, I will first make one temporary variable, and here suppose this is my array name, right? Array name ARR. So I will say, first of all, what I will do, I will save my this is the one, right? First one, array of 0, temp equals to array of 0. Likewise, and after that I will say, so here I need to make use of actually index. If I show you what should come here, array of 0 equals to array of, you can say 3, and after that I will say array of, so here I am just showing you only with one value, so you will see that you will think that what is the need of using for loop here. But suppose you want to do some activity like this is my array 10, 20, 30, 40, 50. If I want to you can say reverse this array, right? So I need to make use of index 50, 40, 30. If you want to, so let me first show you here only. So you can see if I want to swap these two numbers, so this code will do that for you, right? And before that I will write one for loop. I think this is not a good example I have given to you all, but let us understand. Suppose I will write for 4 times, so I will write 4 and I will increment I. Suppose you want to swap the number, so you can write like this. But suppose if you want to reverse this array, how you can reverse this array? Just you have to start it from the bottom. Sorry, so I will actually give you that one in assignment. So let me not explain it here. What I mean to say, suppose this is your index. Okay, let me give another example. It is not a good one. It will actually not make any sense. Uh, don't say. Let me make it again. So suppose again 20, 30, 40. Okay. So suppose I want to calculate. So this example I think we have already discussed. Sum of all the numbers of array, right? So this we have already discussed in the previous lecture. So if I say 0, 1, 2, 3, 4. So I hope you remember that we have used one for loop that will run from I equals to 0 to I less than 5, which means it will run for 4 times. And I hope you remember that we have taken one variable, which is nothing but sum, like this. So this we have already discussed, right? Please confirm.
Yes.
Yeah. So this is my array name, right? So here if you see, I need to make use of this index value, right? If I want to suppose if I want to you can say I want to sum only these three numbers 40, 50 and 60, right? I do not want to sum all these, so I will run my for loop from I equals to, you can say, 2, right? So then only it will going to calculate the sum of 40, 50 and 60. So here using for loop is a good choice to use. Why it is? Because we need this index value every time, so that for loop is providing that index value with the help of I. But here if I try to do this same activity with the for each loop, suppose this is my for each loop, right? Int name, sorry, value, and this is my array name, which is data, right? So if I want to calculate the sum of all the elements of array like this, here this for each loop will not going to provide some index like this I, right? So you can do that if you take one temporary variable, but even if you have one for loop, then why to go for this? So for the printing purpose, this for loop is very good for you. But if you want to, suppose I want to say sum equals to sum plus uh, again data of I, right? Like on the right hand side. So here I will be able to control that you have to just start from the index 2, but here it is not providing any index for you, right? So you are just you can say, if you want to use that variable, you have to define some outer variable like this, right? But here if you have one for loop already there, then why to define like this, right? So for the printing purpose I will say that this is you can use for only for the printing purpose. But here if you want to play with the index and you have to sum that index value from, you can say 2 3 4, right? So here it is not providing any index, so you will stuck here. You have to make some modify in the for each loop, then only you can do, not providing any index. So is it clear to you now?
Yes.
Okay, to everyone?
Uh,
Yeah, hello.
Yeah.
Yeah, hello. I'm Vinit. Yeah, so whole in the array we use for loop. Okay, so can we use while loop or do while loop in array or while inside the while?
Yeah, you can use. Try that, it will work. See, let me also show you that how it will work. We can use a while loop as well as do while loop, no issue. So let me also, what is the time? 8:06. Yeah, I think we have completed. So if I want to suppose print with the help of while loop only, right? How we can do? So let me write it simply here. So if I say while, okay, so let me see. Let me take some small example, right? So suppose if I want to declare one int array, int double dimensional array, data equals to new. This time I'm creating one integer 1. So it will have some value. Suppose it has 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, so this is already one defined here. So data 4. Okay, so we have created one integer double dimensional array, right? So these are the value. So if I want to print that with the help of while loop, how we can do? So if you see, just you have to change one here, I equals to 0. Suppose I will say I, not I, let me take int, you can say any value p, because I is already presented. So again I will start from 0 and I inside that I will say while I is less than 2, right? So if you see, so this is your outer while loop that should run for, sorry, p will come here, that should run for 2 times, right? So this is the reason I have defined it 2. So after that what you have to do, once this will over, you have to just say yeah like this, otherwise it will run for infinite time. So I am incrementing inside that. So inside that let me take one more while loop, while this time let me take value as, after that I will say integer u, right? So I am not taking ig because they are already defined, otherwise it will throw error. Again u less than 2, inside that you have to say system.out.println. So what is your array name? Data 4, I think, new array name. Here you will say p instead of I, p, and instead of ju, and after that again you have to increment each time so that it should stop at one point of time. So if I try to print it, I think it should work. So let us see first. So these 4 values should be printed in our output. So let us try to run. If not, then we will make program again. I think it has done. You can see 1, 2, 3, and 4. So if I talk about how this is working, so it is clear to you now. You
Yeah,
can just debug this how it is working, or should I explain?
understand.
So here what I am doing, and what is the reason of defining this variable inside? Why? Because when this will run for 2 times, so value will become 2, right? When this will run for 2 times, this u value will become 2 due to this, and it will exit. But again when I will enter into this outer for loop again, I have to start from 0, right? So this is, we have already seen that how we are just going from one index to other index. So again you have to start from 0. So this is the reason I am doing. So do while loop you can try, I have showed you that while loop you can also use, but here many of the times people use only for loop only, right? So anyways, so till now it is clear to everyone.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, yeah. We have the previous example, right? So in that, can we find the duplicate in the array? We are giving the 20, 30, 40, 50. So just a logic, how you can.
Yeah, we will discuss after this lecture. Let me first complete this because I have to. Otherwise, we will after the class we will see, right, here only. Okay. First of all, let us complete my agenda for today. Let us do one more thing. Till now, I am hard coding the data. Now again, what I want to do, I want to you can say enter from the user, right? So user should enter the data. How we can do? So we have already saw that for one-dimensional array, but now let us also see that how we can you can say for two-dimensional array, right? So let me create one class. Otherwise, it will be messier. So anything you can give. Okay. So what I will do, I will first say system.out.println enter the row size. Row in the sense, right? You can just assume that suppose there are two row. So I will say int row equals to, again I have to use a scanner class, right? So to feed any input from the user, we will make use of this class equals to new scanner in the system. What is that? Okay, so import this. Error will go. So I will simply say, let me define this as input. That will be more meaningful. Input. Okay, after that rows we have done. Again I will say column. This time I will ask user to enter the column, total column value, so that we will be able to create that much amount of array. So I will say column. So let me create one array. So suppose I will say int data. So this is my array name, new int. So I will place rows here. So user will define how much array he wants to create, right? So error gone. So once he will enter, right? So whenever the user will enter the rows and column, I also want to get the data from the user. So again, I can use one for loop. I less than, you can say. So again, if I talk about the rows, so first of all, yeah, you can do like this. I will say I less than data dot length. So I do not need to keep an eye on this. It will do it for me automatically. And inside that, let me take one more for loop. This time I will say j equals to j less than data. This time I will say I already explained you why I'm taking I, so that you will be able to get the length of inner array. And after that I will simply say data of I and j. Sorry, j. So on the top of that I need to write one statement so that user can enter the data. So I will simply say enter data at data at, I will say I. I stands for, sorry, I stands for row. and after that I have to also, so that you will, I am writing that here because so that you will be able, we will be able to see that at what index I am entering the data. So after that, so if I, okay, so let us see. Okay, after that when we will enter the data here, I will say again use of scanner class. So input we have already created on the top, input dot next int. So let us see how it is working.
For inner loop, we have to give J.
Sorry.
For inner
Yeah.
loop,
Here. Yes. So let us also try to print the data first. Whether we are able to, then we will see in debug mode. So again, this is one. You can say again, you have to create one more because it is a double dimensional array. Place this that variable. So let me take value. I will say values here, and then and after that I will just print. So you have to take some other name because this data is representing your array. So let me take details. Let me take number because we are storing number. After that I will say, I think we have done. So let us do one thing. First we will try to run this program, then we will see whether it is working correctly or not. So let me just right click and run this. So first it will ask me for the total number of rows. What is the row size? Row size is, suppose I will say 2 rows. So when I will do like this, okay, let me explain you here only. So 2, and what is the column size? 2. So this is indicating that you have 2 rows, or you can see you have 2 persons data, and inside that you have one more array, and it will have index from 0 to 1, right? So if I enter the data at 0 0, so you can see here. So let me, okay, so after that I will modify. So if I show you when we are doing this, this is executed, so this will have, okay, so I am running that in run mode, so you will not be able to see it, but let us first see whether we are getting the correct data. So what is the data? 9. Then enter the data at index 0 1. I will simply say 10. Enter the data at 1 0. We will have, sorry, 11. And that enter the data at 1 1. 1 index 1, oh, sorry, first row and first column, you can treat it like this. So 66. So you can see once I have entered all the data into my array with the help of for each loop, right? With the help of for each loop, uh, we are able to print all the values. So this way you can just ask the user, uh, right, so that he can enter the data every time, and you will not hard code any data here. So let us first see how this is working, right, in debug mode. So let me start from here. So you can see we came here. After that, where we are, yeah. So first I have to enter the row size. So what is the total row size I have? Let me give 2 only again, right? So after 2, and it will say enter the column number as well. So column size, so you can again say 2, right? So is this is a debug mode? Okay, this is not a debug mode. Let me run it again. Debug. Okay, so again row size. Okay, so enter the total 2 and enter the column size. So if I, let me first run this. What is the size we are giving? User is giving 2 as of now. So execute this. Okay, so once you will say 2 2, rows will have 2, columns will have 2, right? So it will just create one array. right? So by default it will have 0 value because we are not defining any data, right? So by default it will have, this is right, inside that you will have two more data like this. It is taking 0 value. I have explained you yesterday as well, sorry, day before yesterday, that if you do not define any value in case of int integer array, by default it will take 0 value, right? So you can see it has taken 0 value at 0 index, 0 0, and here as well. So when I will say data dot length, right? So what is the length it should give me? It should give me that outer one, which is nothing but, right? So it will going to give me the total number of rows. You can treat this as a row. So first row and second row. So total size is 2. So outer for loop will run for 2 times, right? So first time when 2 will come here, if 0 is less than 2, condition is true, right? So if the 0 is less than 2, then I will just say that, right, again when I will come inside data of 0, right? So what I'm saying, give me the data of 0 dot length. So when I will come here, I'm saying get me the inner array size, right? So size is nothing but 2. So this for loop will also run for 2 times. So here this next line is important. So why I'm writing this? So when I will say enter the data at, so here this, whatever the code you will write, suppose this is a string, but between the string, if you include your variable, if you want to include one variable or two variable, right? So you have to provide concatenation operator like this, right? So Java will understand that this is not a string, it is nothing but your variable like this, right? So for the first time I value is 0 and j value is 0, so 0 0 will come here, 0 and 0, right? So in your output you will see some like enter the data at 0 0, right? So user will understand that I want to enter the data at 0 0 index, right? So this line will do that for you. So I have already explained the purpose of this line, input.next int. So whatever the data you will enter, it will fall into that 0 0 index. So as of now, if I show you at 0 0, 0 is present, right? But when I execute this line and enter any data, so you have to enter the data, suppose 55. So as soon as I will hit enter, you will see 55 is present inside this. Why? Because whatever the input you are writing, whatever the input you are writing here, right, 55, so this line will catch that, and once you will press enter, that 55 will be sent to this place, right? So at 0 0 we got 55. Again when I will run it for the second time, this time I value will remain the same, but on the right hand side you can see j value has modified. So this time you will see message like enter the data at 0 1. So it will understand that, see, I need to enter the data at 0 1 index. Again whatever the, what I write here, if I show you 66, so as soon as you write 66, that 66 data will be sent to this one, right? So here I have to, yeah, so hit enter after that, then only it will, this method will work. So 66 will present inside that 0 1, right? So after running for 2 times, this middle condition will fail because 2 was present here, this is the length, right? So it will come out of this and we will again run this outer for loop. So again I value will increase this time by 1, so I value has become 1. So I am saying data of 1 dot length. So when you will reach to this index 1, what is the inner, for the index, for the outer index 1, what is the inner array length? 1 2, right? Two elements we have, so total length is 2. Again this will run for 2 times, this inner one. So when it will run for 2 times, enter the data at 1, and for the first time j value will be 1, will be 0. So you will see enter the data at, you can say 1 0, right? So again let it run. So whatever the value you will write, it will going to be placed inside 1 0 index. So let me write some data here. Let me first execute this, and I will after that at 1 0, what I want to store, suppose I want to store 88. So you can see on the right hand side 88 value has sent to this one, right? 1 0. Again it will run for second time, and it is nothing but its last time. So enter the data at, I value will remain the same, but j value will increase by 1. So I equals to 1, j value is also 1, right? So after that it will again execute, and if I execute it again and enter the data here, suppose I want to 333, right? Hit enter. So you can see on the right hand side 333 is the value which we have placed inside our array. So after that it will terminate, and this outer for loop will also terminate, and we will reach to our next for loop, for each loop it is. So again let me show you one more time how it will print. First time it will going to give you that 5566 block here, that 55,66 block is here, and when you will run it for the second time, first it will give me this 55 here and then 66. So it will first give me 55, it will print in the output, and then again it will give me the second number which is nothing but 66. So likewise this will print. After that it will terminate again. You can say it will give me the second box, you can say it's the second this one block 88 comma 333. So 88 comma 333, right? And after that it will first give me 88, so 88 will be present here, and after that it will give me 33. So after that it will do not find any more data because it do not have any data after 333, so it will terminate, and outer for each loop will also terminate, right? So this is how we have completed our program, right? So are you able to get that how user can enter the data into that array? Is it clear to everyone? Okay, I hope it is clear to everyone. So after that session I will share the recording as well. So okay, so now after this what we can do. Okay, so one person was asked, actually I did not get the name of that person. So we have discussed one thing yesterday, so he was saying that his for loop is not working. So who was that? Hello. Hello everyone, am I audible?
Yes.
So actually I lost my internet connection. So from at which point of time can anyone tell me that where we lost our connection? At what point I have covered? Anyone remember? Anup? Hello everyone, am I audible or not?
We were at for each,
Sir.
Hey,
for each
yeah,
Yeah, you mean to
one
say
point.
here, right?
Your screen is not present.
Here only, right?
Your voice is. Your screen is not presentable.
Okay, okay, sure. Okay, let me share. So is it visible now?
Yeah.
Okay. So I think we are here, right?
Yes.
So
Oh,
you
yes.
know the
Got it.
working of it already. So this I mean to say that how you can just enter the data from the user, and right, so this is one of the way of doing it. So is it clear to everyone?
Yes, sir.
Okay, so that's all we will do it for today. Okay, so after in the next class we will going to discuss object oriented programming, right? So which is the, you can say, main thing in Java, right? So do not miss that session, everyone, right? So okay, so that's all for today. And one thing, we have discussed one logic yesterday. So who was the person which we have discussed? Is he present here?
Yes, yes, yes. It's regarding for loop